Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about this NVIDIA GPU. This is the GeForce RTX 4070 Super. It came out in the refresh earlier this year, along with the 4070 Ti Super and the 4080 Super. I actually think this is I'm dusting it off a little bit. You could see that nice, dark black color. Looks really nice. But anyway, I think this is one of the best GPUs that you could probably buy today. MSRP is $599. Here's why. First, let's compare it to what else is on the market. That's our best type of, base that we can get. If you want a 4090, that's, 3 times the price. So that's going to be really out of the question. Not even something you would consider or something that's too close. Now, the 4080 Super at $999, that's a $400 difference. That's fairly significant. And while, yes, you are getting 16 gigabytes of VRAM on the 4080 Super, and we're going to talk about the VRAM in this guy as well, it's really that big of a price gap that people looking at this GPU are not going to consider that. The 4070 Ti Super at $799, maybe, that's a different question. That's only like a $200 price difference, and you are getting 16 gigabytes of VRAM finally on the 4070 Ti Super. So that's probably going to be the closest competition to this, you can say, from the new Super GPUs. And now let's hear a word from our sponsor, VIP-CDKdeals.com, a Windows Pro CD key. Add to cart, you put in code CC20. This will also work on Windows 11. You want to go into your settings in Windows, change and adjust your CD key, click activate, and now let's go back to the video. And obviously we're going to have some competition from AMD, the likes of which are like the 7800 XT, even though that one really competes with the original 4070, which kind of competes with this one too. So you see, it's not that easy of a decision. So here's what I think. First, the 4070 Super got a pretty decent uplift in rasterization from the 4070. It's definitely a nice difference, and it kept the same price for $599. This actually performs closer in a lot of cases to a 4070 Ti 12 gigabyte than it does with other GPUs around the price class. So that's a pretty nice jump. The 4070 Ti was much more expensive, so not bad at all. Now, this only has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is probably the minimum that you want in like a high-endish mid-range GPU. Obviously, you don't want 8. That's not a good idea. And 10 is also something that the last GPU that had it was, the 3080, and that was already stretching the limits. So 12 for $599 is still acceptable, but it's definitely getting where you want 16 to be more future-proof. But anyway, at $599, it's really not that bad. I never liked the 4070 Ti with 12 gigabytes of VRAM because that was an $800 GPU. That's a GPU that people would want to use for 4K and, for ray tracing and high textures. This one at $599, people may be a little more willing to maybe play at 1440p and maybe just kind of temper their expectations a little bit. So that's why I think it's a little bit better. Now, 16 gigabytes of VRAM is going to be the next step up if you go for something like an older AMD GPU. Obviously, you do have the 7900 like GRE. You do have those AMD GPUs that will give you some, decent amount of VRAM. The pricing may be close, but in terms of NVIDIA 4070 Ti Super, you're going to have to spend another $200. That's why I think for 1440p, this is kind of the sweet spot, and you can get it on sale a lot of times for under $600. And to go under this and cheaper, unless you find like a used 4070 or maybe even a 7800 XT for a big discount, it's probably not going to be worth it, as these NVIDIA GPUs certainly seem to maintain their price over time fairly well. Now, the actual GPU itself, especially this Founders Edition, it runs really cool. It's very efficient, great performance with like DLSS 3 and things like that. Obviously, the VRAM may be a limitation if you're doing ray tracing, and even at 1440p, you can certainly max out 12 gigabytes of VRAM in games that really, really demand it. But overall, this is you know, it's a nice suitable GPU for many builds. Look how small this is, and it's very power efficient, so you can fit this almost in any case. It doesn't have the same problems that the 4090 has, for example, being a really big GPU. And there are certainly, aside from the Founders Edition, you do find other you know, third-party AIB models on the market. It's a pretty easy GPU to find. So overall, I do think this is probably the sweet spot for now, especially with RTX 50 series coming. Remember, the 5080 is not really going to probably be more potent than the 4090, because then NVIDIA may have trouble, you know, exporting it to China and things like that, because the 4090 is banned there because of AI, and, you know, the VRAM is too powerful. So you can assume they're going to want the 5080 to probably be just as good as the 4090, maybe a little under. And that means that even the 5070, while definitely will be better, of course, than a 4070 Super, maybe the generational uplift won't be nearly as much in like rasterization. It might be some other technology that it has, like NVIDIA has DLSS 3 for RTX 40 series, which these have the hardware to be able to, you know, take care of that particular technology a lot better. Maybe the same could be true for our RTX 50 series with AI or whatever NVIDIA may do. So aside from that, I still do think that this is going to be the sweet spot. The price isn't terrible. When RTX 50 series come out, this isn't going to depreciate as much as a 4090, which may go down like, you know, half or a third of its value. This is probably still going to be, you know, within distance of its current price. So I don't think it's a bad purchase at all. And obviously take a look at the other AMD GPUs. And if your budget allows, you can go up to the 4070 Ti Super. And then from there, the 4080 Super, of course, but that's going to depend on your budget. All right, guys, so let me know what you think about this, the 4070 Super. Is it a GPU that you'd buy? Do you think the price is just right where it's at now, or would you still like to see it cheaper? Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.